Hey everybody, real estate has been in the news a lot over the last couple weeks, primarily about like our commissions and how we get paid, and in particular how buyer brokers get paid. And we wanted to shine some light on what happened. And NAR, there was a big settlement there, a lawsuit, and there's new regulations coming down. So we're going to shine some light of that and go through it all as of right now. Before we dive in though, I just want to say thank you for watching our channel. Make sure you hit subscribe and hit that little bell so you get notified. And more importantly, comment. If you have any questions or comments about what we're saying here today, please put that in there below. I am a real estate broker, and as much as I love Maine, I do real estate for a living, and we'd like to give you this information, and we'd love to hear from you and kind of start a dialogue about it. So again, thanks for watching, and stick around. There's a lot of great information that we're going to talk about today. If you're not familiar with what the NAR is, I figured I'd just give you kind of a brief overview. It's the National Association of Realtors. They're a big organization. Most real estate brokers are part of it. They have a code of ethics, classes that we have to take and to live by or do our business by. And they also keep a close eye on laws and regulations that come down not only on us as realtors, but also as homeowner rights and things like that. So it's a great organization from that perspective. But the settlement that came down here was really all about compensation for buyer brokers and selling brokers. In a lot of other states, not necessarily here in Maine, but a lot of other states, when a broker would take a listing, it would really just say on there, hey, we're charging you 6%. It wouldn't say anything about where that goes, if anybody else is getting it, et cetera, who's paying the buyer broker. It wasn't really spelled out. And as you can imagine, a lot of weird things happen, probably a lot of side deals, maybe some stuff that shouldn't happen. I don't know. But that's really where everything stemmed. The good thing is up here in Maine, we've had buyer brokers for many, many years. And in our listing agreements, it's spelled out there, like if we're charging X percentage, it's coming to the agency, and then the agency decides how much is going out to the buyer broker. And that's all spelled out in the listing agreement. So it's very transparent. Everybody knows what's happening. Maine really wasn't too involved in that, but because real estate is everywhere, we're kind of bulked into this, and we're also part of the National Association of Realtors. So we're talking a lot about it over the last couple of weeks. So we wanted to make sure we were able to give a lot of this information today. So the biggest question that we got is this new regulation going to save buyers and sellers money? The quick answer is maybe. If you decide not to compensate the buyer broker, like if you're selling your house and we charge you the commission, the agency charges you the commission, you can decide not to pay the buyer broker, like a quote unquote finder's fee, I guess, if you will. I wouldn't recommend that though, because most transactions that happen the buyers are represented by somebody who's looking out for their best interest. I think it's like 85% of all transactions have that buyer representation. So if you decide not to compensate them, then you're removing a lot of people that might come and look at your house and ultimately give you less money as a seller of a property. Hopefully that makes sense. I suppose you could save money, but if you don't compensate the buyer brokers, you could lose money. Because if you don't compensate the buyer broker, then the buyer is going to have to pay their broker's commissions, which could make them decide to, not want to buy your house because it's too expensive. They might come in unrepresented, which might sound great, but it's going to make it a lot more difficult, even you as the person trying to sell it, and a lot more potential for lawsuits, things like that. It could save you money, but you're still going to want to compensate buyer brokers. If that's the way you're looking at saving money, I would not recommend it. Now, the big thing that these regulations wanted to achieve was so everybody knows that real estate commissions are negotiable. And I'll just say straight up, they always have been. We've always negotiated commissions. I mean, yes, we have some set things that we know, we need to charge, and we have a lot of reasons why. And if you're thinking of selling your house, I'm happy to sit down and go through the whole thing with you. But commissions have always been negotiable. And that's really what the regulations were trying to show. And here in Maine, though, it's kind of always been that way, which is, again, it's good for Maine. If you're going to be represented by a buyer broker, you need to have a buyer agreement, a contract in place before us as buyer brokers can show you houses and represent you in any way. So if you just see a house online and you want to go look at a house, it's going to be recommended that you talk to a broker, talk to somebody as quickly as possible. This is actually, I think, a good thing, or will be a good thing. Here in Maine, we do have buyer representation, and we do try to talk to people about committing to somebody as quickly as possible. But now it's even sooner that you have to do that by the new regulations coming out. Now, lastly, what I'll say is that these regulations aren't slated to come out until July. So everything I just told you right now might change a little bit, but that's what's happening right now as we sit. Once July comes, maybe we'll do another video explaining that, because in case if something changes over the next few months, we'll of course let you know. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this answered some questions. If you do have more questions, please comment below. We'd love to start a dialogue with anybody that has questions. And remember, if you make Maine your home, you don't have to do it alone. Please make sure that you subscribe to the channel and one of these buttons over here. We get a lot of great information about real estate, the state of Maine, cool things to do, all that kind of stuff. And of course, if you have any questions at any time, comment below or hit us up on all social media platforms, and we'd love to help you out. And we love talking about Maine and real estate in Maine.